As tensions in the Middle East reach new heights, the words and actions of world leaders are under intense scrutiny. In recent days, a particularly charged exchange has captured international attention. Russian President Vladimir Putin has declined to discuss the prospect of an Israeli or American operation targeting Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This refusal is not merely a diplomatic maneuver. It carries profound implications for the fragile balance of power in the region. Putin's stance emerges against a backdrop of escalating confrontation. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has issued stark warnings, directly threatening Iran's supreme leader. Meanwhile, Iran has responded forcefully, launching missile barrages that have left over 200 people wounded in Israel and caused significant damage to critical infrastructure. The resulting cycle of violence has already taken a heavy toll, with human rights groups reporting hundreds of Iranian casualties from Israeli strikes. Despite the clamor for decisive responses and the growing chorus of threats, President Putin has chosen a path of restraint, at least in his public statements. He contends that even discussing the possibility of regime change or the targeting of Iran's top leader would only serve to further unify Iranian society around its leadership. In his view, such rhetoric risks consolidating the very regime it seeks to undermine, galvanizing public support in the face of perceived external threats. This insight is not without precedent. History has shown that nations often rally around their leaders when confronted by outside aggression. Putin's remarks also reflect Russia's broader strategic interests in the region. Throughout the ongoing crisis, Moscow has positioned itself as a potential mediator, advocating for de-escalation and dialogue. The Russian leader insists that a diplomatic resolution remains possible, one that would guarantee Iran's right to peaceful nuclear energy while simultaneously addressing Israel's legitimate security concerns. He warns that military escalation, especially one that targets nuclear infrastructure, could have catastrophic consequences. Specifically, Russia has cautioned that an attack on Iran's Bushehr nuclear power plant could trigger a disaster on the scale of Chernobyl, unleashing radioactive fallout and destabilizing the entire Middle East. These warnings are not mere rhetoric. The specter of a nuclear incident is a powerful deterrent, and the memory of Chernobyl looms large in the minds of policymakers and citizens alike. Putin's invocation of this disaster is a reminder of the stakes involved and the irreparable harm that could result from a miscalculation or an act of desperation. Yet, for all his calls for diplomacy and restraint, Putin's position is not without its critics. Some argue that Russia's refusal to condemn Iran's recent missile attacks or to hold Tehran accountable signals tacit support for its actions. Others see Moscow's approach as self-serving, designed to bolster its own influence in a region where American power appears increasingly contested. Nevertheless, Putin's decision to refrain from discussing regime change or the assassination of a sovereign nation's leader stands in stark contrast to the more aggressive rhetoric emanating from other capitals. By positioning himself as a voice of caution and reason, he seeks to elevate Russia's role as a key player on the world stage, a mediator capable of steering the region away from the brink. In these turbulent times, the choices made by leaders like Putin will shape not only the fate of individual nations, but the future of the Middle East as a whole. The path forward remains uncertain, but the need for dialogue, restraint, and a commitment to peaceful solutions has never been more urgent. As the world watches and waits, the hope is that reason will prevail over vengeance, and that diplomacy will triumph over the drums of war.